Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're taking a massive deep dive right beneath the mainstream surface of post-apocalyptic anime. We're going to uncover the rise, the fall, and the critical reception of the genre's biggest absolute hits, and of course, its hidden cult classics. Get ready, because we are doing a definitive Tier 1 list breakdown in an iceberg format, tracking how this genre transformed from a regional niche into a literal global pillar of entertainment. Okay, here's our roadmap for the descent. First, the iceberg concept. Then, Tier 1, the giants. Moving down to Tier 2, the action era. Plunging into Tier 3, hidden gems. Then we'll hit Tier data, and finally wrap up with the future. Section 1, the iceberg concept, from mainstream to the abyss. Now, to build this list authentically, we aren't just guessing based on vibes. No, we're using hard data here. We've pulled IMDb rankings, MyAnimeList scores, and Reddit sentiment to completely ground our descent into the abyss. This gives us a totally factual, data-driven look at what really sits at the top in the public consciousness and what's lurking largely unseen below. Section 2, Tier 1, the giants. All right, looking right at the highly visible tip of our iceberg, the part resting entirely above the water for literally the whole world to see, we find the inescapable global phenomenon that is Attack on Titan. I mean, this is a show that didn't just participate in the post-apocalyptic genre. It completely reshaped it. It secured a massive global footprint and an unmatched, sustained search dominance for a full decade. So the crucial point here is this historic MyAnimeList rating of 9.20. That number is absolutely wild. For years, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood sat comfortably at the #1 spot with a 9.18, but then Attack on Titan's final season arrived and just completely dethroned the long-standing champion. It's an absolute statistical anomaly to see a show hold this kind of elite acclaim and generate this much pure passion so late into its run. And this mathematically dominant rating is backed up by near-perfect consistency across a staggering 89 episodes, plus several OVAs. And that's fans' productions from Wit Studio all the way over to MAPPA. Even its lowest-rated episodes maintain above an 8.0 on IMDb. Keeping that level of elite quality across nearly 90 episodes of intense dark fantasy, yeah, that's exactly what cements it at the very top of our iceberg. It really comes down to this. The narrative's true strength lies in its meticulous structural integrity. It demands high levels of attention and delayed gratification. It's like a giant puzzle. It transitioned from a simple, YA dystopia survival story into an absolute masterpiece of interconnected writing. It gave audiences these massive payoffs by tracing literally every single mystery back to its earliest moments. Section 3, Tier 2, the action era. Let's go ahead and submerge just below the surface into the mid-2010s. This was a fascinating era of legacy challengers that were visually spectacular, but ultimately struggled to maintain their momentum in a hyper-competitive market. Now, what's really interesting here is the stark contrast between these tiers. While Tier 1 demanded delayed gratification through complex mysteries, the authorial mystery model, Tier 2 challengers relied on a kinetic, action-first approach. They leaned heavily on immediate, visceral combat to hook viewers right out of the gate. Let's look at the sequels that never were. Seraph of the End from 2015 and Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress from 2016. Despite setting massive visual benchmarks for the whole anime industry, these early dark fantasy successors really suffered from narrative convolution in their second halves. The sales and overall popularity just didn't justify continuing the projects. They simply missed their windows for highly anticipated sequels. If we look even further back at the legacies of the action era, we find older Tier 2 titles like 2010's High School of the Dead. Now, this series absolutely pushed early visual boundaries, but it relied really heavily on physical and sexual gratuity, often labeled ecchi. This established an early blueprint for high-production, post-apocalyptic action for sure, but it was a highly controversial blueprint that the genre and its rapidly maturing audience would very quickly outgrow. Section 4, Tier 3, Hidden gems. Okay, now we are plumbing the deep abyss of the genre to look at Tier 3. These are the critically acclaimed but vastly underrated masterpieces hiding largely out of mainstream sight. Way down here in the depths, we find Heavenly Delusion from 2023. This series is widely praised for its sublime production IG animation and brilliant mystery-first slow-burn writing. But it's deeply submerged in our iceberg due to extreme marketing hurdles, what fans famously call being stuck in Disney jail. And it's highly controversial, graphic psychological themes that make it a pretty challenging watch for some audiences. 400.
Despite having a highly impressive 8.2 rating on my Anime list and securing Anime of the Year recognitions, this single number represents its tragically low global popularity rank on the platform. It proves just how hidden this gem truly is. I mean, it literally has the critical quality of a Tier 1 giant, but the reach of a niche cult classic.
Section 5. Tier Data. Analyzing the metrics. Let's pull all these threads together to see exactly how these shows stack up when we put them side by side. And the divergence is crystal clear. Attack on Titan unequivocally sweeps the most popular and most critically acclaimed metrics, driven by a literal decade of Google search dominance and elite IMDb rankings. Meanwhile, down in the depths, Heavenly Delusion claims the fascinating dual titles of most controversial, thanks to intense fan debates on Reddit over its trauma themes, and most underrated, possessing a massive quality-to-reach disparity. Looking at the genre's overall evolution reveals a massive maturity shift in what actually causes controversy. Think about it. We've moved away from the physical, ecchi controversies of the early 2010s with High School of the Dead, navigated completely past the plot convolution complaints of Seraph and Cabaneri, and headed straight into the intense psychological trauma debates of the modern era with Heavenly Delusion. Section 6. The Future. Where do we go from here? As we ascend back from the depths to look toward late 2026 and beyond, we really have to ask what these trajectories mean for the future of dystopian anime. Tracing this evolution chronologically, we started with simple us versus them action and survival tropes in 2010. By 2013 to 2015, we hit the massive YA dystopia boom. 2016 gave us incredible visual benchmarks, right? But by 2023, we fully entered the mystery-first era. So, moving into 2026 and beyond, the landscape is now completely defined by highly complex, mature mystery box storytelling, adopting adult themes where audiences actively demand intricate world-building. Furthermore, the data proves that long-term streaming deals on platforms like Disney Plus and Hulu are fundamentally changing the game. This secondary life on streaming is now securing the production of complex sequels based on long-term profitability. And this is completely overriding the initial airing hype or lack thereof due to those distribution hurdles that absolutely would have canceled these shows back in the old Blu-ray sales era. I'll leave you with this provocative thought as we wrap up this explainer. With the streaming era rewarding complex mystery boxes and delayed gratification, will legacy action titles like High School of the Dead and Seraph of the End ever actually be remade for a new generation? Or has audience taste matured so much that the flawed classics of Tier 2 are doomed to remain at the bottom of the iceberg forever? Thanks for joining me to figure out what really lies beneath the surface.